Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Psych YouTube channel for a brand new video, which today is going to be talking about Man United and more specifically what is going on there. Why are they not succeeding like they used to? Well, there's a lot of factors involved. So we're going to be talking about individual players, the manager, fans and even Old Trafford itself. So let's get into it. I'm going to be dropping in some results from some polls I did on Instagram. So if you're not already, go and follow at the Football Psych on Instagram so you can be a part of them. And then we're going to use it in the channel so it's a bit interactive. So firstly, we've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the manager of Manchester United, the head coach, former legend, scoring a winner in the Champions League final for them. There's a lot of romance between the fans and Ole, but what is going on there? Is he good enough? Is he fit for the job? Is he the man to take them in the right direction? An often cool and composed character on TV and in front of the camera, Ole's had a tough time of it recently. Although Man United reached 3 semi-finals last season, the minute Man United starts boasting about the semi-finals, I think really tells you the situation the club's in. That shouldn't be something they're parading about. We reached 3 semi-finals. Well, you didn't reach a final, and even if you did and lose in a final, you're the first to lose. And no silverware at Man United is very much for everyone to see, you know, after a legacy that Alex Ferguson left of winning everything the club could even imagine to win. Going through a spell where you're not winning so much, it's building up pressures in the club, both internally and externally, and they're working against each other. And Man United as a club right now seem a bit strangled and caught between two minds. There's no real vision, there's no real direction, there's no real strategy from the board. The fans are becoming frustrated, and the man leading all of it, Ole, seems a nice guy, but doesn't seem like he has the real passion or grit that's needed maybe at that top level when the going gets tough to dig in and really direct his team out of some tough waters. Then moving on to players in general, the players that currently play for Manchester United, well, are they good enough? Are they good enough to be wearing the shirt for Manchester United, stepping out at Old Trafford in front of 77,000 people? Are they up to the task? Well, you could argue they are, yes. You've got some real talent in there. You've got people like Pogba, Marcus Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, Bruno Fernandes, bringing in Cavani recently, David De Gea, who on his day is the best goalkeeper in the world. So is it the players as a general force? Are they not good enough? Well, I don't think it's actually the players themselves, but maybe the mindset they have as a group of players for Manchester United at the moment. I think they don't realise what it takes to really play for the badge. Are the psychological demands of wearing the shirt too much for them? Or are they misunderstanding just what it takes to play for Man United? Are they not realising the expectation, or is that expectation the thing that's actually crushing them and their performances? Then we're moving on to the club captain, Harry Maguire. So, as you're all aware, in the summer, got into a bit of trouble abroad in Greece. He actually spent the night in a cell, and the officers reported being the key word to the local newspapers, that he said, "Do you know who I am? I'm the captain of Manchester United. Do you not know who I am?" Now, right or wrong in what he did or whatever happens and the detail of it's not really relevant really, but that was a traumatic experience for Harry Maguire. And you could argue that if that happened to anyone else, a normal person in an everyday job, they would definitely take some time off work for that, you know, to get over that mentally and, you know, make sure they're in the right frame of mind. But he didn't take a break. He comes straight back into football, had a couple of stinking performances, and then you give everyone the opportunity to question, should you be playing? Are you in the right frame of mind? Should you be wearing a captain's armband? Are you a leader at the moment? Now, on top of that, you've got an £80 million price tag on his head. Not his fault. He didn't ask to be sold for that much money, but that's what Leicester demanded and that's what Manchester United paid. So he's the most expensive defender in the world, coming to the biggest club in the world and then wearing the captain's armband. That's a huge amount of pressure to take on. Now, I don't think his performances were good enough before this ordeal took place, but this on top of his poor form has really culminated in a player who looks completely lost, and he seems to be picking it up again a bit at the moment. Not that anyone talks about that, they all like to jump on him when he's playing poorly, But £80 million for a player is a lot of money, even in today's market. Is he up to the task of leading Manchester United and being the captain of them? I think you've got to be a special kind of individual to wear that armband and wear it with pride and do the best you can every game and lead by example on and off the pitch, which is definitely more important in today's game. It's not just about your performance, but how you hold yourself, how you talk, your efforts on social media, as he should probably take inspiration from his teammate Marcus Rashford, who's a fair few years younger than him. Then we move on to Paul Pogba. Wow, where do I start with Paul Pogba? Initially at the club, in the academy phase, when Sir Alex Ferguson was in charge, he didn't like his character, he was happy to let him move on. And then they brought him back in a sweeping deal a fair few years ago in the summer. But let's get on to him as a person. I don't think he's a bad guy. Yes, he's a football player and that's what he should be judged for, but I think it's gone beyond that. I think the media and the wider footballing world has been too critical of him as a person and his personal choices. There's been so much focus on his hair colour or his haircut or what dance he's doing in the changing room. And yes, if you're losing and the fans are seeing that on social media after losing a game of football, you're not going to be too impressed, but we're jumping on him too much and maybe being too critical as an individual. Judge him as a footballer, that's what he's there for. I know that they've got a duty and a responsibility and their online profile is all there to see for kids and all football fans. But what it comes down to is a lot of money was spent on him. He's come in and he hasn't hit the heights that he did in Italy. And the question is, if an offer come in, would you let him go? Is he a player that you want to have around the dressing room? I think when you're winning and everything's going well, he's a great character to have. I think he brings a lot of energy. But maybe when things aren't going so well and he's still carrying that same ego and personality, maybe it doesn't give the right image or just looks a bit bad in the spotlight. And let's be honest, the brightest spotlight in the world is the one that beams on Old Trafford as a Man United player. Even now, even when they're not hitting the heights of what they did in the mid-2000s, they're still the biggest club in the world and still the biggest brand in the world. So with that becomes a lot of responsibility. And maybe Pogba at times has not realised his responsibility enough. But then you could argue that Man United have had big egos before. Your Roy Keanes, your David Beckham, your Cantonas, and although they all went through different times and experiences at Old Trafford, they were all managed in a way. Fergie with his tactics with Beckham, throwing a boot at him in the changing room, but they were all managed, and Roy Keane was really passionate and he is who he is, but he was a great captain of Manchester United and he led by example. So there's definitely room for egos like Pogba to thrive at Man United, but he needs to be managed in the right way. And I think at the moment, it doesn't just come from Ollie's responsibility, but is Ollie going to be the one to tell him to pipe down or calm down here and switch on? I don't know. And if he does, has he got that respect? That's, I think, maybe what's lacking a little bit. And then we move on to Marcus Rashford. What a legend, what an incredible young man anyway. But what a pressure he's got on his shoulders. He's had the burden and the weight and the expectation on the team on his shoulders since he was 18 when he broke through, and still carries that now at 23. And you've got to grow up quickly in the world of football, but maybe it would have been helpful for him to have some characters around him, like a Roy Keane. Experienced shoulders to rest on sometimes for advice or guidance or, looking how to act. And he's had to kind of find that all himself. And the expectation of the team has solely been driven through him. He's the talisman, he's the poster boy, and that's great. He's a local lad, but you need some other people to help him out sometimes. And your Pogbas and your Maguires and De Gea's could do more. It's all on Marcus Rashford, and what he does off the pitch is incredible as well. He's a busy young man, but he still needs some help. He could still be more impactful on the pitch if he had some people around him maybe he could rely on with some responsibility. I think there's a lot he still has to do himself. He's still just 23, which is really easy to forget because he feels like he's been around for ages, but that's so young. He is Man United's buyout, get out of jail card every game it seems, and he's 23 and it's him every week. So what about Old Trafford as a whole? I know that growing up watching football, supporting another big team, I used to hate Man United with a passion. They seem to win everything. win every big game. Old Trafford was an awful place to go. It had a real fear factor. But does it still have that same fear factor? Are teams still scared to go to Old Trafford? Well, I'm not so sure. I think 10, 15 years ago, teams would go there and be absolutely buzzing to come away with a point. I think now a lot of teams have left with 1 point and be disappointed they didn't capitalise on all three. Old Trafford used to be a fortress. It used to be intimidating, a place that teams really didn't want to go. The fans would make it hard for you. You know you're up against a team that's going to work harder than you and probably are better than football. And it was just an awful place to go and play. A lot of players would have dreaded it, seen Man United away on the team sheet and thought, great, you know, that's 3 points dropped even before they've got on the bus. And that kind of mindset has definitely taken a flip, you know. Teams aren't scared of going there anymore, you know. Teams are actually maybe looking at it as an opportunity to pick up some points, and that can't happen. It's Man United. They're still the biggest club in the world. They still have a lot of talent on the pitch. It's still the same amazing stadium. That fear factor should still be there without a doubt, and I think it's been thrown into question in recent years. The fans of Man United, the backbone and the heartbeat of the team itself, do they have any belief about their club? Is there any ambition from them? Do they see light at the end of the tunnel at the moment? I'm not so sure. I know quite a few Man United fans and I think they're a bit mixed, it would be fair to say. Some think that it's just a phase and that Ollie is worth sticking with, and some think get rid of all the players, get rid of the manager, start from fresh. It's really one of them. It's on a knife edge. I think the fan base is really split and mixed at the moment, and that can be quite damaging. Fan bases need to be united. They need to be all singing from the same hymn sheet when it comes to what they want from the club and the expectations. And if that's different between sections of the crowd, I think that can be quite detrimental to the team. And has the lack of success and trophies and silverware at Man United just become the new norm? Is that what fans expect now? Do they, at the start of the season, did they expect to do anything? Did they expect to get in the top four? They crept in there last season, to be fair to them. But are fans really going into a season going, we've got a chance of winning the trophy this season? I don't know. I don't think so. So is there any hope for Man United? Well, of course there's hope, you know. Like I've said numerous times, they're still the biggest club in the world. And with that comes a lot of hope and opportunity anyway. But I think things need to change. I think the board needs to change and actually have a strategy. They bought some big marquee players, Bruno Fernandes, Pogba, but they've come at weird times in January transfer windows when the rest of the window has been quite poor, you know. Looking at bringing people like Daniel James in. And I've just lost my screensaver behind me, but I'll carry on. I think firstly, players need to realise the enormity that comes with pulling on the Man United shirt on match day. They need to realise what that means. The history, the culture that's been formed over 100+ years. They need to be aware of that. And they know it because it'll be plastered on the walls down the tunnel and plastered at the training ground. But they need to realise when they put that shirt on, they are the next generation who the fans are hoping can become legends of the club. And just quickly to finish, you've got someone like Angel Di Maria coming out recently saying he didn't want his move to Man United. He told his agent he didn't want to go there. Now, there might be a multitude of reasons for why he said that, but that should never happen. A player not wanting to go to Man United. Anyone would dream of playing for a club that big. And you've got a player like that in his position going, I don't want to go there. And that shows you everything that's wrong. Players should really want to go and push and play at the highest level. You look at Jadon Sancho, whether the deal will go through or not, maybe there's a reason why it didn't go through in the summer. Was he really looking and buying into the project of Man United and Ollie is the manager and the players around him, or does he not feel that that has the same meaning anymore to play for Man United as it did 10 years ago? So that's going to be all for this video. In the next one, we're going to be talking about money and wages, a very controversial aspect of football, but I feel there's a lot to talk about. Thanks again for all the support. Make sure you go and follow my socials, which are down there at the Football Psych on both Twitter and Instagram, so you can take part in polls and be interactive with me and also provide new ideas for upcoming videos. Thanks again, everyone.
Been crying so much to the poltergeist, trying to hold on to love, but it's frost.